morning. All right, see, we got a couple people in the room already. It's not quite 8, and I like to wait until we get about 5 in there before I really start going into it. Good morning, everybody. It's your boy Andre Williams at Samurai Kennel, and got another episode for y'all today. Hopefully, it will be educational and beneficial to all those involved in the video process. Yeah, good morning. Okay, I see we got 2 in there, 2 likes already. Okay, that's good stuff, man. I appreciate that. Good morning, Crockett. #1 fan, good morning. It's almost that time to turn up. Just waiting a little bit longer. See if we can get up. We got 4 in there. Okay, good morning, y'all. I promise you, stick it out with me. We're gonna get this thing jumping. Trying to give it to right out 8 o'clock. There it is. Good morning. So we got 6 people in there. Hey, so good morning. This is your boy Andre Williams from Samurai Kennels. Peace and top of the mornings to you, Darrell Smith. Hey, so Aquatic Knowledge, what's good, bro? How you doing, fam? Yeah, man. This morning, y'all, it's basically a continuation from last week's kind of like a vlog podcast thing, man. But I also got some things I wanted to share with y'all on there. Now, in the description, it talks about all the topics I'm going to cover. You know what I'm saying? So y'all can jump in. 7 Sports, good morning, family. How y'all doing? Yeah. All right, man. Tony M., good morning. Appreciate you coming through. Hey, so the first topic I'm going to cover this morning, JT, salute, sir. Yes, sir. Let's get them in there. First topic we're going to cover this morning, y'all, is going to be what to do with a new puppy. And as sophomore and as low level as that might sound, dog, I promise you, a lot of people don't know what to do with a new puppy. And what's even crazier is I'm picking up a puppy tonight. So I'm gonna have some clips and footage for y'all. This new puppy I'm picking up tonight from my homeboy down here in Austin, Texas. And we're gonna be adding this blood to the Samurai Kennels family. But there's some preparation things you need to do for a new puppy. And honestly, if you wait till the day you get the puppy, you already behind the curve. One of the first mistakes I made getting a new puppy, hey man, I appreciate that. Hey, also we got a lot of merch similar to this on my site. Links in the description. But my first mistake I ever made getting a new puppy, dog, real talk, was I got the puppy and had no supplies at the house for the puppy. Like no kennel, no crate, no bedding. I didn't even know what kind of food the breeder used, man. Like I was new. The breeder was just a backyard breeder. And there was no mentorship at all for this puppy. So I started off already with a leg down. And so I got the puppy home, and I figured it's a puppy, it won't do that much damage. So I put it in a room, closed the door, went to the store. And when I got to the store, I found a bedding, I found a crate, all these different things, and some food. Wasn't the kind of food the dog had been eating, and I got home. And this turned out to be a complete and utter disaster, because what ended up happening was by the time I got home, the dog had peed and pooped all over a room in my house. So while I'm trying to clean that up, panicking, you know what I'm saying, because it stinks. And puppy pee is just different. It just does an acidic, pissy smell. And so while I'm cleaning this up, I didn't take the dog outside because obviously the puppy was nervous and didn't fully go to the bathroom. So as I'm cleaning up the pee and the poop, the puppy is peeing and pooping more. So I said all that to basically start off with, there's a list of items and supplies that everybody gonna need for basic puppy care and maintenance, right? So that's one of the things we'll cover in this episode. 2, everybody's getting dogs at this time of the year. So how do you prepare yourself for the type of dog you're gonna get? Okay, so everybody know, like keeping it 100% G, it's tax season. Everybody who is really into dogs like that know they about to go, they about to go blow a check on a dog right about now. You know what I'm saying? Or get upgrade dog supplies. I mean, like if your life is dedicated to dogs, man, you make moves that other people don't even fathom, man. When I got that stimulus a couple years back, man, I definitely went and bought a dog. 100% went and got a dog, right? But there's better things you can do with your money, like invest in it, or there's worse things you can do with your money too. The choice is yours. But we're gonna talk about like what do you do with those puppies, because with this mass influx of puppies, I got puppies. I seen Triple J got puppies. Ready Red got puppies coming. These are just some of the kennel names that I'm familiar with. But everybody got puppies right now, and things you're gonna deal with is puppies are gonna come home. You got to treat your yard because Parvo will take them smooth up out of here. And when you go drop that 500 stack, 250, whatever it is you spend on them puppies, you don't want to lose that puppy on Parvo. So there's some preventative things you need to make sure you're taking care of before that puppy comes home to you. Typically a couple weeks out. Like I start my maintenance for a new puppy a couple weeks out for taking care of that puppy. All right. Something else we're going to cover on this episode is going to be the beginning of training, maintenance, and health. And for all of y'all who want to join like the Shogun Bloodline style of training, this is the most important portion or segment I'm going to talk about, because it literally talks about my philosophies on the 3 different things that you do. And these are all separate. Training and maintenance are not the same thing, but they are bound together. And also health is not the same thing as maintenance, but it is bound together with maintenance, and they're intertwined. If one of these is off, you won't have a balanced dog or accomplish the things that you're trying to accomplish as fast as you want to accomplish them. Hey, I see we got more people in the room. I see we got 11 people, but only 5 likes. Let's get them likes up, please, because it's going to share this and recommend it for other people that might be interested in this kind of conversation we having. I appreciate that. Hey, so the next topic we're going to cover after that is going to be learning and what activities you and your dog enjoy. Because I'm telling you right now, if you are a laid-back individual, you're going to have laid-back activities. That's important for you to know with you and your dog. Me, I'm a moderately active person. My favorite thing to do is play basketball. The things I like to do physically with my dog is I don't like to run, so I went out and got a bike so I can do bike work with my dog. And I also bought equipment like treadmills for my dogs to work. I do a lot of spring pole and flirt pole work for day-to-day exercise. And then equipment you'll benefit from having, which we obviously talked about that. Also, I'm going to go into the protection work side of equipment for those of y'all who are interested in doing that kind of work. I'm always going to caution you before you get into protection work to understand that you are pretty much loading a gun by teaching this dog how to bite. So ultimate responsibility is necessary, and the proper insurances to ensure that you are taking care of yourself and anybody who is injured due to your negligence is all the way out there. And then what level of training do you want your dog to have? So those are all the topics we're going to cover today. This segment is going to start here with the topic of what to do with your new puppy. Okay, so starting out with what to do with your new puppy, the first thing I start doing is preparation for that puppy. Now, for that puppy, before it comes home, I use bleach on my yard. Some people think ammonia works better to kill parvo. I prefer bleach on my yard. I do a dilution of bleach to water mix, and I treat from where my property starts all the way back to where my dogs are kept and inside my house internally. All right? Anywhere, almost like baby proofing, like you're baby proofing your house. Like anywhere where a dog can reach is treated with a light coating of or light dusting of bleach. And it's done for a couple of days throughout that week to ensure that any parasites that I missed on the first dusting, I catch on the next dusting. I also typically cut the grass within that time frame, so as the new grass grows, it has a chance to either die the old stuff, or it can the grass actually absorbs that water with that bleach, and it helps to cut down on some of those parasites in the yard. Too much bleach and you'll kill all your grass, which I don't really care about that because hey, I'd rather protect my dogs and worry about grass right now. I can always get AstroTurf, right? But yeah, them dogs are expensive. All right, so you treat the yard with your bleach or whatever you're gonna do. And some people even go as far as out to put out mothballs to ward off snakes, because with where I stay at in Texas, we have 3 different kinds of rattlesnakes, and the treatment for a dog is a lot more expensive than just the maintenance of not having snakes on your property. We also have possums, raccoon, and squirrel in my area, so I typically do a good harvest on those to get them out of the way before I bring a dog in, because squirrels, raccoons, feral cats, they all carry fleas and ticks that they will drop off in your yard, as well as the cats just are disease-ridden animals in general. Also, typically, if you have those around, you have other rodents as well, and rodents will infect your stuff. Hey, what's up, Crockett? Welcome. So yeah, we talking about right now, we get on these puppies and what we do what to do when you get the puppy and prior to the puppy. Also, when you get a new puppy or when you're getting a new puppy, have your stuff in line. Like I told y'all earlier in the video, man, like I didn't even ask dude what he was feeding his dogs, man. You know what I'm saying? Like I've always fed Diamond up until about the last 5 years. And then I went from Diamond to Pure Balance. And the only reason why I use Pure Balance is it's not the greatest dog food on the market by any means. And I don't get paid to talk about Pure Balance. I'm just telling you what I use. Pure Balance is available everywhere because Walmart sells Pure Balance. So I can go, when I moved from where I was at and I had a Tractor Supply walking distance from my house and I moved here to San Antonio, I didn't always have access to Diamond quickly. And I don't order in pallets. I don't make enough. My dogs pay for themselves. So like, I don't go to my job with the intent of, I will backfill if I need to top off, but I get what I can afford and you live within your means, right? And so I use Pure Balance. And my dogs specifically do the best on the pea and chicken diet or the bison diet. But I also supplement things like for calcium, we talked about the eggshells, chopping up eggshells, egg yolk, yogurt for probiotic. And I add a little bit of powdered greens to their food. That's like a basic daily thing, right? You need to know how this dog is taken care of before it comes home with you, is what I'm getting at. So I brought a puppy home, fed it a different food. So not only in that poop story I was telling you about where the puppy messed up the room in my house, was it poopy, but it was actually runny, like nasty poop, because the puppy, I messed the puppy's stomach up, and it continued to get worse until it leveled out. But that's just an example of understanding the level of communication that needs to happen prior to taking this puppy home. Another thing is, for training purposes, I like to have a towel or rag or something that we use in the whelping process and put that either underneath or in the bed where I keep the puppy at. Having that, when you want the puppy to lay down and go to sleep, that's what it was trained to do prior to coming to you. So understanding that information is very essential for you to actually get what you need out of your puppy. Having them lay down in that area every night and being consistent is going to give you a more calm dog. So with Saki, I can do that. But with Hendrix, I can't do that because with Hendrix, I didn't bring him home and set him up like that. So he is rambunctious. And then that Red Boy Jocko and him don't help at all either, right? So bedding and food is essential, day one. Then you need restrainment items, right? Like, so for me with puppies, I see a lot of people walk around, and I really don't care for like the fur mommy stuff with the harnesses right away on puppies. I go straight to collar and leash breaking as well as chain breaking almost immediately as soon as they're old enough to touch the ground, because that's where I do the predominance of my work. And for that puppy, I want him used to a leash. I don't want him turning around biting the leash. I want to correct that day one. Boom, correct it. All right. So before I even get in my car to take that puppy from where he's at, I put him on a leash and I let him know I'm in control. You know, very, very calm. I'm not out here doing like leash pops or anything, but I'm letting that puppy know I'm in control. So we get out the car, you know what I'm saying? I let the puppy get a sense of me. I make sure we start that bond immediately. Throw on a collar. If the breeder provided a collar, I'll put a collar on there, and then, you know, it is what it is. Things to look for on the way home from that breeder. So up until my most recent breedings, I never had a dog that's road sick or car sick, never. So like, I'm like, man, these poorly bred poodles and Maltipoos and all this stuff that people got, man, I thought it was like a frou-frou dog thing, like for them to get like road sickness, because it never happened with the pit bulls, never for me. And so my first breeding back in 2020 that I did, the female, only the two females off that litter would get car sick. And I didn't find this out until they were separated from their brothers. When they got separated from their brothers, they got real disoriented, and they both got car sick when I was taking them to drop them off at their respective locations. And so having cleanup items in the car is essential when you get a new puppy as well. You know, life lessons learned. And these might seem sophomoric to you if you've been through this before, but this is more geared towards like people who haven't been through it before or that have done it and never had these issues, because it does matter. You know what I'm saying? Having that feedback will help you out, because I just didn't know. I never had that problem. And so you get them home, and now we're moving into that next segment. So let me give y'all an update. So far what we covered was getting the puppy home, you know, some basic items. I'm talking about very basic: crate, food, leashes, etc., right? But now you got to get into what you do when you get home. And this is more for like my guys who kind of want to hear from my dog training side and understand exactly like how I start the process of training the dog. Okay, so go ahead and take your notepad out if you need to get your notepad out, because this is stuff that with consistency will make your life easier. Now, what I do when I first arrive at home is I begin pack structure training. Now, this segment is going to probably go for a little bit because it's very important that you understand the full spectrum of the why I do this. All right. 1, dogs are pets, not people. 2, because dogs are pets and not people, this means that for your dog, you need to understand that the dog communicates in the way that canines communicate, which is pack structure. Pack structure training is essential, and it begins the moment you get out of that car to your yard. In a dog pack, the alpha wolf decides everything for the pack, to include how they move. He is the HNIC. And what you start setting, first thing is pack structure. And I'll tell you how I start. The first thing I do is the puppy is always on leash in the house. He can't go anywhere without me. And just to enter the house, there's a certain thing that has to happen. I must enter thresholds or doorways first and exit first. Because in a wolf pack, the alpha enters and exits first. When I come home from work, I greet my pack, my family. The dog doesn't see us as family, they see us as their pack. I greet my family in order of ranking. What this means is in order from my wife to my oldest kids down to my youngest child, and then my dogs in order of age is how they're greeted when I come home from a long extended period of time or from work. The purpose behind this is it creates a clear definition of who's in charge and who's ranked where. Now, I'll give you an example of where this is not observed and where people have issues. People who greet their dogs first are subconsciously telling that dog that that dog is the beta or the second in charge. Now, where this plays the biggest issue at is when a person has kids. If you have children and you've taught this dog that he's your second in command and your child tries to greet you, what you have just told that dog was as the beta to protect you from the kids subconsciously. Now, mind you, all dogs aren't super aggressive. However, when that dog gets tired of a lesser ranking pack member jumping the line, that dog may develop resentment. And when you're not around, guess who's the alpha? That's right, the beta. When the alpha's out on a hunt, the beta's in charge of the den. So if you teach this dog that he's second in command and you're not around and your wife's not around and the kids are around, left unattended, which I don't know why you would do that, but it happens quite often with some kennels, and that dog attacks a child, we have programmed that dog to do that. That's still our fault. Now, if y'all understand that concept, please, if you're in the chat, please leave a thumbs up, man, because it's really important to me that I'm delivering y'all information that's gonna be beneficial to you. But yeah, so the first thing we start off with is that pack structure training, and we establish the pecking order in our pack the minute I get my dog home. First thing. Okay, cool. So now I appreciate that, Crockett. So now you got the dog, and every time you go in there, I appreciate that, Tony Young. Now you got the dog and you head home or you're in your house moving around. I told you I keep a leash on puppies until they're housebroken. The reason for this is what a lot of people do is they just yell, "Hey, quit that." And sometimes if you got a hard-headed puppy, that's actually encouraging that puppy to do exactly what you told him to quit. He might stop and look at you for reassurance, but they can't read your facial expressions yet. That comes with time and bonding, right? So with new puppies in my house, I appreciate that extra light. There we go. With new puppies in the house, what I like to see is, big A, poor management. That's what I'm talking about, big dog. What I like to see is the puppy on leash until that puppy is proofed. You train, you test, you proof. All right? We'll go over that if I have time, but like train, test, proof, everything. All tricks, all maintenance, train, test, proof. Okay, so as the puppy gets better at behavior, you extend the length of your leash. I start off with a 4-foot leash. I mean, this puppy literally can't do anything. If I'm busy and I can't manage the puppy, then I hook it to a furniture item in the house that's heavy enough that puppy only has that area. That way, if the puppy has an accident, I can clean it up immediately. All right? First step. Step number 2. when the puppy has an accident, specifically when it pees in the house, I never allow the puppy to see me clean up the pee. Now this all psychological, all this is psychology. All this is psychological. Okay? Work with me on this. I had this issue with my Malinois that I had where he would pee or have an accident. I would come in with the shout or whatever disinfectant I used, and I would spray it. Now to a dog, what it looks like is I'm marking over where he marked at. So now we going back and forth. He pee, I spray to clean up. He sees me, he pees again in the same spot. Now we going back and forth competing. You know what I'm saying? Because he's an alpha type dog, and he sees that as any opportunity where I'm not around, he gonna mark that spot. It's just like when I walk my dog. My dogs mark every mailbox in the neighborhood because they smell somebody else to mark their mailbox. That's that concept for them. So I never let them see me clean it up. Once they have an accident, first step is to take them outside because typically most dogs don't want to have an accident in your house. So take them outside, let them finish up whether they were peeing or pooping, get them out the house and let them go. If you got an area where you can let them run like a kennel run, I highly encourage, if you can't be actively engaged with them, put them in the kennel run while you run your little errands or whatever, or while you're at work. Okay, so cool. So you got that set up. That's the why I don't clean up behind them. When they poop, same concept, put them away. I clean it up, they come back, it's disappeared, you know. And then also a wives still, I don't put their nose in pee or poop when they have an accident. Unless you catch them actively doing it, dogs live in the moment. So like if you catch a dog 5 minutes later and like they already done had the accident, like your frustration is telling you to beat this dog, but this dog does not associate that with that. Now, if you catch them in the act and you get them like while they're doing it, boom, they can associate that action with bad results in that location. That's real training and maintenance right there. All right. Items that I use for maintenance are my crate. My crate is hands down your best friend. If you cannot physically manage your dog and your dog is not 100% proof to be housebroken, the dog should be in a crate when not under your direct supervision or leashed. Now, I don't expect you to leave your dog in a crate 24 hours a day. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, a lot of people say my dog is bad, my dog doesn't behave, my dog needs training. And what actually it is you have poor management skills. You must understand that the dog learns from what you let it do. If that dog is a puppy is never allowed to explore the house, or every time it's explored and it's attached to you on a leash and you make those corrections for that first year, some dogs don't take that long. You know, the smarter your dog, the less time it takes, right? But if your dog is attached to you on a leash for the first, typically me, I do a year to a year and a half, right? Going around the house. If that dog is attached to you, every time it makes a mistake, you're right there to correct it on the spot. On the spot. So after 3 or 4 months of doing that, the dog naturally learns, okay, cool, he doesn't want me to jump on the counters. He doesn't like it when I jump on the couches. I don't like my dogs to jump on the couch unless I call them to the couch. I can't go in bathrooms ever. You know, like these are things that after a couple months of the dog being attached to you around the house, it will learn what's proper to operate. That's training. Now, to test that training, what I like to do is I like to go with that extended leash, where now the dog can go around the corner, but it's still on leash. So that mindset is still there, where I can feel this leash tugging on me, you know, and I start extending the time periods where the dog is out of my direct sight. Okay? So that's testing the training. Now, proofing is I might go outside for a minute and a half. I have cameras throughout my house. If you don't have cameras throughout your house, get you a little iPhone stand or something like that and close out the area where your dog's gonna first be exposed to being alone in the house by itself. You know what I'm saying? And put your camera in there where you can see the activity that your dog did after you left. And I would never start off with anything greater than, 5 minutes. 5 minutes is a long time for your dog to be completely unsupervised for the first time. But that's the kind of stuff you wanna make sure you're setting up, is that your dog is learning and gradually being built upon. There are some people who get lucky, and I think the worst thing you can do is do like I did and get lucky with a dog that naturally just does well in the house. That's probably the worst thing you can do if you want to become on the trainer side of being a dog handler, right? Because what people pay you for is not well-behaved dogs. People pay you for bad behavior or to correct bad behavior. And I'm always gonna drop little nuggets about the dog business in here because it's important to me that you understand this. I want everybody to get paid what they owe. All right. So you got the dog and your house breaking him. Your leash breaking him, your house breaking him, you got all that stuff going good. You got the feeding regimen down, and you are able to survive a day with your dog. Now what comes is night. And I'm telling you right now, you and your family and your old lady gotta be on one accord. Luckily, my wife was with me when I was doing my certifications, and she understood that. But nighttime maintenance is probably one of the biggest deal breakers for couples and puppies. You get that new puppy, you get it home. You done everything I talked about. You got the scent for it in there. You got a comfortable area for it to sleep at. You put that thing down, and the minute you close that crate, that puppy goes ballistic. I'm talking about he is screaming all night long. What do you do? Okay. First step. Always take the puppy to the bathroom. I'll say latrine, that's the military talk. Always take the puppy to the bathroom before you get ready to bed down for the night. Always. Make this a routine. Me and Saki, or Saki and I, go to the bathroom every night at 9 o'clock. Every night I take him in my front yard and we go out there and I make sure I have a treat of some kind. Good morning, Marquand. Good morning. Every night at 9 o'clock, Saki and I go outside for him to pee and empty out, to poop. All right. I also typically walk him about 4 o'clock in the morning. That's the time I like to walk because there's not a lot of other people walking their dogs at that time. And I don't want those distractions when I'm just out leisurely walking in and enjoying my dog. But by taking him out at 9 o'clock, I have learned that as long as Saki has at least an hour prior to that emptying out, that Saki can go about 6 hours easily without having to disturb me to utilize. As long as I make sure he peed and pooped, he'll sleep in his crate just fine. So that way I know that the whining is not because they got to go to the bathroom. Overarching goal is if you want to go to bed with a new puppy at your house, make sure they've emptied out. Rule of thumb that I've always followed that has worked for me, and this is like, I can't tell you where I got this reference from, so I don't want to misquote the reference. But for every month of life, up into 8 months, you can add about an hour to how long the puppy can hold his bladder. I.e., you got a brand new puppy, you know, typically the first month and a half to 2 months they're with the mom. So for about 2 hours is about how long a puppy can hold before it needs to go to the bathroom, right? At 3 months, you can start extending that up to about 3 hours. 4 months, about 4 hours. And this is not a free feeding dog. This is a dog that is kept in a crate with just enough water to get it through the time frame that you're going to be like leaving that dog unattended. All right. And you feed on a scheduled feeding. If you have unscheduled feeding or you're free feeding, this is not for you. Like, don't take this advice. Talk to somebody who practices what you do. But this is how I do it. Okay. So at night, to get that puppy settled down, I'm going to take that puppy out at around 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, whatever your circadian rhythm is. However you sleep, you need to set the dog up to your schedule to make it fit with your needs, right? So you go to bed at 9. I'm just using my time frames, all right? For that first week, I'm setting an alarm, and every 2 hours, me and the puppy go to the bathroom with treats. The goal is to ensure that when I go to the bath, when I catch that puppy outside, he's peeing and pooping outside, boom, you hit him with a treat. Boom, treat, boom, treat, boom, treat. Every time. And you want to praise it like the puppy just did the greatest thing in the world by peeing and pooping outside. And always I go to the same spot. There's a tree in my front yard, and I intentionally don't cut the grass as low around that tree. It's a square around the tree where the grass isn't cut as low, so that the puppy feels that texture and goes on that texture all the time. All right? That's a personal preference. You can buy pee pads, whatever you want to use, but I want to create a connection in that dog between if I pee or poop here, I get food or treats every time. And I use typically like hot dogs. I keep hot dogs in a Ziploc bag in the refrigerator, and at night, I just go ahead and chop one up and have it ready to go. I come out, I grab a piece of hot dog, go outside with the dog, you know what I'm saying? He sniffs around or whatever. And eventually, after a couple weeks, the dogs get really fast. Like, it gets to the point where you can tell the dog pee or poop, and the dog will pee or poop on command. Like, no BS. And so by being able to do that, you start like building that like that routine for your dog at night so you can actually get some sleep. But it takes work on the front end so you can enjoy life on the back end, right? And my brother just texted me. I can't do it right now because I'm actually going live off my phone, bro. But I'm gonna get with you as soon as I'm done with the live. So you survived. You use pepperoni hot dogs myself. Hey, pepperoni is fire, but just be careful. And I will warn you that for me, the only issue I've had with pepperoni or like baked chicken is my dogs go crazy over it, and they actually get real like nippy. And sometimes they might actually grab your hand because they're so excited about that specific treat. All right. So in the last segment, what we covered was what to do to get your new puppy. We got it home. We talked about it, bleaching it, cleaning the area, small items you might need for maintenance. And we talked about basically surviving your days in and out with your dog for the first couple weeks to a month, all right? This is just basic maintenance and a little bit of training. But when I start talking about real training, I'm talking about like sit, stay, come, all that stuff. That's training. Maintenance is like surviving daily with your puppy. And for the first month, I don't do a lot of training. I start teaching them how to lure them into positions, but I don't really be saying the words to them like that. I just be like, good job, good puppy. Trying to encourage them to do things trying to encourage them to work for food, right? After I've set my routine in and I know when they're gonna pee and poop and stuff, that's when I really start getting into training. Because keep in mind, I was on a video with my brother Soul Power. I don't want to mess up his name, but Soul Power was on a video the other night. And we was talking about it. And this is just for y'all G-Wiz. For the American Pit Bull Terrier, for the first 2 years are equivalent to 20 human years. So in that first year, from 1 month or from 0 months until a year old, they're about the mindset of a 10-year-old person. So typically the training is not that great. And then from 13 months to 24 months, they age another 10 years. So around that, probably like that 17 to 18 month mark, the same time that people typically turn them on and start them up. That's why, because they're about between 16 and 18 mentally in their mind when you do that. That's the science behind that. Now, the whole every dog ages 7 human years is not accurate at all. There's actually a chart where smaller dogs age faster, shepherds age faster, and larger dogs age slower typically when we talk about like ages of your dogs. So my Belgian Malinois at 12 months, performance-wise, was doing what my pit bull will probably do at 24 months or even 36 months of age, just because they age a little differently. But also you'll notice the hip dysplasia comes in super fast in those same breeds because they go through life faster. However, Saki now is coming into the age where he's learning things really, really quickly because he has the focus for it. So don't get discouraged if you have a young puppy and they won't bite on a tug or they won't sit or they're not showing you like the traits of their parents. You got to give them time to mature, man. That first 2 years is essential. That's why the old school dog men say the first 2 years, but that's the science behind it. Their mental maturity and their minds are not just developed at all. All right. So moving on to this next segment, I want to cover everybody's getting dogs. How do you prepare yourself for what's to come? All right, this is the first thing. When you're getting a dog, you're not buying the dog, you're buying the person's product. All right. So you want to deal with people who have quality products, and you want to deal with people whose products you've seen. For example, I try to show y'all what my dogs are doing so that you know what my dogs do. I like to see really, really balanced dogs. Like the super intense dogs, I can't do. I need a balanced dog. I need a dog that can be intense when I want it to be and turned off when I want it to be turned off. I don't need a dog that is just on all the time. That's not realistic for me. I don't own a ranch and I don't own a lot of land, so that's not realistic and feasible for me. But what do you prepare yourself for? One, do you have a fallback? Because one of the things that I've seen people do is they get a new puppy and they're like, man, like I got this puppy, and they end up having to let it go. Do you have a way to recoup those funds? Do you have somebody in mind that if you need to go on a case in point, I bought Bacardi in 2019, right? When I purchased Bacardi, my wife and I had a cruise booked for the following week. But we just got a new puppy. And y'all just heard all the stuff I like to do with a new puppy. Do you have a team? Do you have somebody on your team that you can take that puppy to and drop that puppy off with for a week. Because I'm telling you right now, most boarding kennels be having some real strange policies about the American Pit Bull Terrier. So like, before you like get this dog, just realize your life is gonna be extremely different. There's some motels that are dog friendly but won't let you stay there with your dog. Does your housing development allow pit bulls in your housing development? All this stuff might seem really rudimentary, but like I'm telling you, it matters. What's the tethering laws like where you going to? Are you prepared for everything that comes with this dog? Because where I grew up at, we kept them on chains, and kennels was a second option for stuff like that. But it's all really important. Do you have areas to exercise your dog at? How are you gonna exercise this dog? Because they're gonna destroy everything in your house, especially while they teething if you don't have a way to exercise that. Are you prepared? Are you in shape? Like literally, I just went and got a membership at Gold's Gym. I've been there for a month, y'all. By the way, I'm trying to get in. I'm trying to get real fit. By my birthday. My birthday is in April, so by my birthday, Saki and I are both gonna be conditioned. I don't just believe in my dogs being conditioned. I believe us being conditioned. We're a cohesive unit. But make sure you're mentally prepared for everything that comes with that dog. Is your family prepared for the dog? So like my family lives with the dogs, but they're not into dogs like I am, and that's fine. Do you have that understanding, or are you getting this dog thinking your old lady about to be on the days where you don't feel like doing it? Are you expecting your old lady to go out there and clean up shit behind your dog? Case in point. Is she gonna do that? Did y'all have that discussion? If y'all didn't, you need to have these discussions prior to. It's a lot easier to go in there knowing what you got to do. Do you know how to give shots? Do you know what shots you actually need versus what shots the vet's gonna try to sell you? As far as health goes, because I said we're gonna talk about health in this episode. We're getting the shots in the next segment. But do you have all these things? Do you have what else? That's pretty much the basics, like the medication, maintenance items. That's the basic needs you're gonna need for that. And are you mentally prepared? Have you had the conversations you need to have? Do you know what support groups you have in your area? That's important. Everywhere I go, I find out what ADBA club is active in the area. Is that the only support group you can have? Absolutely not. And some of them aren't even that great. Some of them haven't been active since 2016. Like the one I'm going to, I plan on standing it back up. The one in Arizona, I plan on like when I get there, making it stand up, like making them make moves because I'm present. If you're into protection work, find you a Schutzhund club in the area. Find you a community that's going to help you blossom and grow into whatever it is you're trying to blossom and grow into. This is stuff that's important for you and that puppy, because if you don't know it, you're not going to get it by just sitting on here watching YouTube videos. You got to actively get involved in the dog community and deal with the people in the dog community. That's why I really appreciate those of y'all who rock with me, because some of y'all who have dealt with the dog community people realize that everybody ain't like me. There's some dickheads in the dog community. It's some friendly people in the dog community. It's some swindlers in the dog community. It's some hustlers in the dog community. And it's some really solid dog men who just want to talk to you because they want to mind their business and keep it simple, keep it greasy, right? And all of those people are needed. All of those people are needed. I don't knock not one of those. Even the puppy peddlers, like to an extent, the puppy peddlers have their place in the game too, because they allow you to see some of them actually have good product. They just pump a lot of puppies out. And some of them have poor product. And it allows you to learn those mistakes, because I can tell you all day, but until you see it for yourself, it don't matter, right? All right, y'all, so we're hitting that 40-minute mark. If you just recently joined the room and you weren't previously in the room, please hit a like button. But also, we want to cover the next topic and kind of give y'all an interim summary for what's happened so far. So first, we talked about literally everything up to getting the puppy and how to maintain that puppy overnight. And then I kind of just gave y'all, in the next portion of this segment, a little talk about like how to mentally prepare yourself. Now is the portion that my dog trainers can really take away from this. Training, maintenance, and health. Health is number one. So we're going to talk about health. The basic needs of a puppy are that you get that puppy vaccinated on schedule all the way through its initial vaccinations. Literally, you can go to pet supply stores like Tractor Supply and get the basic provisions you need, with the exception of rabies shots. I think there's only 2 states that will allow you to buy the rabies vaccine and give it to your dog yourself, right? However, for basic prevention and maintenance, you need at least these 2 to 3 things, depending on who you are. and where you are. One, the first thing I do is at 4 weeks, I begin my worming process. At 4 weeks, I give them Nemex 2 wormer oral. All right. And I want to say it is for every 10 pounds of body weight, you give them 5 milliliters. So if your puppy is under 10 pounds, then obviously you're going to have to do some math in there. All right. And if you don't know what you're doing, get you that nerd or whoever around you that you trust to manage finances that can bounce numbers for you, and get them to break down what percentage of that Nemex bottle you should be giving that puppy every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks, the puppies are getting wormed for at least 3 weeks, or for at least 3 cycles like that. All right. I go with the wormer until I'm done with my initial vaccinations. The vaccine that I use is the one that they sell at Tractor Supply. I don't want to tell you out loud the name, but I start off with the 5-way. I start off with the Canine 5-way vaccine. And I give this at 6 weeks of age. All right. And then at 8 weeks of age, I go back and I get the 9 or 10-way, whichever they have, vaccine, and put it in there. Yo, salute. What's going on, Asiatic Soldier? Hey, that was a good discussion they had the other night on the Good Brother Soul Powers channel, man. Welcome. So 6 weeks, 5-way. 8 weeks, 9-way or 10-way. 10 weeks, another 9 or 10-way. Now, if you look at most charts, typically the second dose is when dogs are allowed to go to dog parks. If you're going to take your dog to a dog park, they're considered vaccinated with most brands after the second shot. The third shot is a booster. All right. Now, read the packaging and understand that everything in life has instructions, and you can be simply better than everybody else just because you're willing to read the instructions on the packaging of the item that you got. All right, cool. So we got worming them to get rid of intestinal parasites, and you got your actual preventatives. Nemex 2, yeah, absolutely. You can order it off of Amazon, and also Tractor Supply sells it as well. Oh, another thing, feed stores is another great supply stores, and typically I try to go to mom and pop feed stores. A lot of them have it's usually like a red and white checkered flag for local supply companies and feed stores. And if you can buy from them first. Always, we support all companies, but if I can support a locally owned company, always do that. All right, cool. So Nemex 2 dewormer is what I use, and I use the Tractor Supply brand of the Canine preventatives, 5-way, 9-way or 10-way, 9-way or 10-way. All right, and all of this is actually affordable. You know what I'm saying? None of these things that I'm talking about are over $20. So, and the Nemex, 1 bottle of Nemex will last your puppy a while. All right. If you got a whole litter, you're gonna go through it pretty quick. But just one puppy, if you take it home just 1 or 2, you'll be fine. Okay, cool. Grand Rising, Curtis McLean, welcome. And so, after I have those 2 vaccines, something that I do because I keep multiple dogs is, whenever you have a high volume of dogs for keep, I have a kennel, so I have medications for kennel cough, and I treat them with this 1 time, and I do it annually after that. But that's just for me. Also, a lot of if your dog goes to a boarding kennel, so I use Palmetto Pets and Friends. I think it's Sumter, South Carolina. When I say to South Carolina. When I would go out of town, and they require your dog to have the Bordetella shot to board them, as well as rabies shot in conjunction with the other 2. For your rabies shot, typically a veterinarian is going to be, unless you live in one of the 2 states that allows you to buy it and issue it yourself, or you can go across the border to Mexico and buy it yourself. You're going to have to go to a vet to get that shot. Now, this is what I want to save y'all some money. I really want to save y'all some money on this. All right, I require you to get an initial checkup when you purchase a puppy from me for health guarantee. That way, if something's wrong with the puppy, I can replace it on a future breeding. That's a personal preference that I have with my puppies, right? You need to get that first inspection done. If you don't care about that and the puppy looks healthy to you, when you go for a rabies vaccination, some vet clinics are going to try to get your money by telling you they have to do an inspection on your dog before they do the shot. This is completely false, because if you go to what I like to do is, if I'm not going to go get an inspection done, like my dogs that I keep, dogs that I keep personally, I get them inspected on the initial inspection and annually. This costs money. All right. If you're on a tight budget, like you blew your budget on the puppy and you want them to be vaccinated appropriately, they have the mobile vaccine clinics where they simply charge you for the shot. Also, Tractor Supply does. You can hit their schedule for your local Tractor Supply, and they have people who come and just do the shot. So instead of paying $190 because the shot typically is only like $40 or $50 of your visit. If you look at your bill when you leave the vet, it's $40 or $50 for the shot, but then they charge you use of their equipment because what they're trying to do is they're trying to get you to pay for all that equipment that they barely use. That's games meant to be sold, not told. You're welcome. But yeah, man, they used to bust me across the head, man. And then I went to a vet clinic when I was stationed in Seymour Johnson in Goldsboro, North Carolina, and they charged me more because I had pit bulls. They legitimately went from, I watched the lab go in and get charged $189 for their initial checkup, and for my pit bull, it was $253 just because of a different breed. That's ridiculous, right? But it happens. So I got to put y'all on game about that. All right, so once you got those things done, you got they're wormed appropriately, and you have given them their annual vaccines, at least 2 doses, but the third one I also require for my puppies, as well as Bordetella and your rabies vaccine. Your puppy at that point is considered basic vaccinations needed. These are like, some people do more, but these are the basic vaccinations that almost every company, anywhere you go with a dog, is gonna tell you need. The Bordetella, maybe not so much if you're not boarding your dog or having around other animals with communicable diseases. But the other 3, the rabies shot is definitely required. And then some places like here, they require your dogs to be microchipped. So that's I don't microchip puppies that I'm gonna let go to somebody else. But where I live at, I have to have that. Like if animal control come out right now and they hit my dog that's not microchipped, then I'm getting fined. You know what I'm saying? That's just a thing. But like with puppies, you have a certain, typically from the time you get it or the time you move into your new area, there's a grace period with that. So know your local laws when it comes to that grace period and understand that. Also, you know what's crazy? And I think it's taken for granted is, where do you look this stuff up at, right? So like, I was like, if you Google like leash laws in my area, it doesn't just pop up with your area on there. It's really difficult to find sometimes. So you can call, I called 611 and it led me to it actually put me on the animal control line. And then for here, they have specific charters for San Antonio, and they sent me to a website. I can't remember the website right now, but I'll put it in the link in one of my future videos where you can read like your leash laws, your laws for keeping fowl, your laws for keeping dogs. And you know what? Like now that I'm talking to y'all about this, I really think that's something I should cover in Sunday's episode, is showing y'all like how to read these laws and understand them for yourself, because a lot of the people I see not being able to defend themselves and losing their dogs, if they knew these charters, you can fight it yourself. You legit can fight it yourself if you know where to look and how to articulate it. Because I've had animal control call to me 3 times just because I had pit bulls. And every time they check my premises, they check my dogs, they check where I keep them, and they check my equipment. And I also have brake sticks here at my house. I have 2 different kinds of treadmills in my house, and I'm about to buy a slap mill. And some of my dogs have yard accidents. Like my dogs look like working dogs, right? And I've never gone to jail for any of that stuff, knock on wood. But it's because I understand what's required of me, and when they come by, I know what they're looking for in my local area. If they violate that, then I'll call the police on them, because believe it or not, animal control and the police are not the same thing. They're not the same thing by any means. You get what I'm saying? So understand your rights and know how to fight for yourself, because at the end of the day, if you don't care, nobody gonna care about you more than you. All right. So we got over y'all got me on a tangent right there. But so we talked about the medication and getting your dog basic vaccinations. These are the basic things that you need. And for most competitions, whether it be confirmation shows or bite work or whatever, obedience shows, whatever it is you're gonna try to do, even hunting, these vaccinations need to happen, because if I bring my dog out with your dog, this is what's understood that we both know have happened for these dogs. What I'm expecting to have occurred for these dogs. All right. Between you and I, that would be like the unspoken agreement that I would expect from anybody who I'm dealing with, right? Okay, so we talked about the health side of it. Now let's talk about maintenance. I've already gone over the crate and how to keep the crate, but let's talk about the maintenance of that crate. All right, to maintain the integrity of the crate and to keep the dog engaged in the crate, there's tricks that I do. I'm gonna give you one. I'm not gonna give you full game because I also do phone calls and consultations. I get paid for this. Like I do work for this. I share this with my YouTube channel to show y'all, like, even if you don't want to pay for it, share this information with somebody who's willing to pay for it, because like everything is done word of mouth. This is a grassroots movement here. I share freely so that people can see my level of knowledge and they can reach out to me, and they can, if they want to get more, then they can get beyond the surface level stuff that's on YouTube. They can call me and talk to me about full theory and full philosophy on it, or even get like in-person consultations, and we can do this the right way. But for me, my family and I have a system in place when I'm teaching my dog to go home or go to their crate, that every time I go out to take my dog to the bathroom, if I'm by myself, I will tether the dog to like a pole or something, come back inside, and I use Kong toys. They're pretty strong. People will still break them, but I use Kong toys with peanut butter inside of them, and sometimes I'll put a beef jerky inside of it as well. And I hide that Kong inside of the dog's crate, right? So that way when we come back from the bathroom, the dog be like, what's that? And every time they come back from the bathroom, they shoot to the crate because they've learned that, man, like this is the spot. Like every time I come back to this spot, like it's something good in this spot. And after a couple of weeks of doing that, like you'll naturally make the dog want to go to the crate. So when you can't deal with your dog, that becomes a safe spot for that dog. That's what good maintenance looks like. And like I said, I can't give you all the game on maintenance, because typically where I make my money at is people learning how to maintain their dog in ways that are convenient for them, and ways to help them achieve a normal life with their dog. But that's just a start to like what good maintenance looks like. And then we kind of talked about it earlier with leashing them in the house and everything too. If you got into the video late, go ahead and fire back to probably about the 10 to 15 minute mark. And I talk about like keeping the dog around the house and stuff like that. For those of y'all who just joined, I'm gonna do another interim summary because we had a 50-minute mark. For the interim summary, so far we've covered what to do with your new puppy, how to prep the yard for the new puppy, items that you might need for the new puppy, and then we went into how to mentally prepare yourself and your family for what's gonna occur with that new puppy. Then we moved into dog training, maintenance, and health. So far we've covered health, and I just touched on maintenance. I'm not gonna give you too much on maintenance or too much on training, but I will start off with a verbal walkthrough of how I teach the first trick. And the first trick is called naming the dog. A lot of people think that dogs learn words, and that's not true in the least. The way dogs learn is dogs learn sounds. So like I could say one, just like that, like one, boom, shoot at it, and the dog might cower the same way as I say no, because what the dog has learned is the sound or the octave that which your voice came out at, and that octave and that body language means this. Okay, so when I'm teaching a dog their name, I want to be consistent. This is the concept behind clicker training. The reason why people use clickers to train tricks is because the clicker is the same every time. It's consistent. And consistency is key when it comes to training a dog. The way you do it the first time, if you need to make an adjustment, it might take you 100 more repetitions after you create that adjustment to fix what you messed up the first time. That is why it is essential before you go into training that your maintenance and health be up to par. Once again, before you go into training, your maintenance and health need to be up to par. Case in point, you get a dog that has fleas. You teaching the dog sit. The dog, every time you sit the dog down, he starts scratching his ear. So in theory, even when that dog's flea problem is over, you may have reinforced him to sit and scratch his ear by rewarding him during that activity if you're not careful. So you might have taught him to sit down and scratch unintentionally with the word sit. So then what you might have to do is you may have to bring in or give him a new word. Example, I messed up some of Saki's training in English. So if y'all watched my Sunday video, I was speaking to him in Arabic. Now, heel, I messed up. I messed up heel training, and instead of creating or trying to fix heel, I added in a new word. Shout out to the brother Mr. Egyptian for this. I don't know if y'all know this, but I spent some time in Kuwait where I was stationed there, and I worked with some Egyptian workers. They taught me a little bit of Arabic. So the word you'll hear me use if you flash back to Sunday's actual video of me working Saki is imshi. Imshi is to go with or to come along, right? Or to go away, depending on the context it's used in. So I'm like, you know what? We're not gonna use it. We're gonna use imshi. And that was my first time using that word with him on the video that you saw Sunday. However, he's already been lured and trained to be lured into that position. So the lure didn't have to change. Just when I said the word and rewarded it had to change for me to create that activity. All right. Now, I said all of that to go back to how do I name the dog, or how do I teach the dog their name? And this is what I do. All right, there's two methods I use, and I interchangeably use them depending on the dog's temperament. The first method I was taught by my uncle. He breeds Akitas, and this is what he does with all his Akitas, teaching their name. It's very effective for them. He takes the puppy and rolls it on his back and holds it in his hands. And the puppy's gonna be wiggling around and doing all this wiggling and stuff. And when the puppy stops, he'll say the puppy's name, Saki, and then sit the puppy down. After a couple weeks of doing this, the puppy learns that when I'm calm, when I hear this word, I need to remain calm. So what you would see was he was, after training the dog this or creating this behavior, my uncle would say Saki, and the dog would just stop and look at him. Now, to anybody around in the area, it's like, man, like that dog knows his name. But in reality, that dog knows that sound means to calm down and look at me, pay attention. All right? That's a way to train without treats. And I think it's very beneficial for dogs that are soft enough to train without treats. Then you have some really alpha dogs that will never stop fighting and rolling around until you like put it back on their pads of their feet, right? For them, I use what's called marker training, where I reward with a treat. So what I'll do is I'll put the dog in a little 4-foot leash and I'll sit down on the floor. If you don't like sitting down on the floor, sit down in a chair. And I let the dog run around. And I'll say the dog's name, Saki. Boom. When he looks, as soon as he makes eye contact, I hit him with a treat. And what happens is he starts learning, every time I hear that word, if I just look him in his eyes, I get a treat. That creates focus. And now, once again, it creates the same objectivity to the outside. To the outside looking in, this dog is just in tune with his trainer. Like, no, this dog has literally just been trained that when I say his name, to look at me and he'll receive a reward. And then I slowly teeter off and I stop giving rewards every time, maybe every other time. Then I taper to every 5th time, every 10th time. And then by the time the dog's a year old, I can just say his name and it looks, because it's hoping that maybe I'll get a treat today, maybe I won't. That's how training works. Every behavior I train is trained in that manner. Now, there's other techniques in training as well, which I'm a trainer. I get paid for training people's dogs, and I get paid for consultations. But that's the basic rudiments of a training session. Now, there's other aspects to it, like back chaining and linking behaviors together, that I'm not going to teach on YouTube, and you will either pay me for it or pay for the consultation to do it yourself, or you can just go to another channel that talks about it. Like, I don't have a problem with that. If you want the Samurai Kennels way that works for Samurai Kennels and my dogs that I'm breeding to meet my criteria, my dogs are bred to match how I train, how I live. So if you get a dog from me, it's most beneficial to those people. However, this may be beneficial to you or not. The choice is yours. All right. So, hey, we about to hit that hour mark, y'all, and we're going to move into a little bit more of my topics that I wanted to cover. So as an interim summary, we covered what to do before you get the puppy, everything you need to know to prepare yourself for a dog, training, maintenance, health, and now we're going to do learning activities that you and your dog actually enjoy. Man, this is, you know what's crazy? Like, and if you believe in this or you think this too, please leave a thumbs up. Before I got my dogs, I used to watch YouTube, and everything people did on YouTube, I was going to do that. I was going to have my dog riding a bike. I was going to have my dog on a treadmill. I was going to have my dog doing bike work. My dog was going to do drug detection. My dog was going to be in the confirmation shows. My dog was going to do agility. Me and my dog was going to do everything. And at that time, I knew none of that stuff. But I saw people on YouTube doing it, and I was like, I'm going to do it. No clue how to get it done. So the first thing I did, the first mistake I made was I bought an email I actually bought an email, not for my pit bulls, but for my Malinois that I had. And for that Mal, he wouldn't run on the email. I spent $450 on an electric treadmill, and this dog would not even run on it. Like, now mind you, I've seen channels where, like, you know, you can coax them onto it and train them. I don't want that. I didn't want that. I wanted to go straight out the box. Like, I picked this dog up, I put him on the email, maybe give him some treats or put a toy out in front and wanted him to run on the email. And that did not happen. And I was extremely discouraged and I almost sold that email, right? Then I get Bacardi. Bacardi didn't run on the email either. So I'm like, man, I spent $450 on this email and the dogs will not even work the email. They will not even, like, this is stupid. I don't like these people on TV, they fake, they lying, they're not real. This is not a realistic expectation. That's really what happened. All right, so cool. So then I go out and find a bloodline, and my friend Art studied me out, knucklehead to Bacardi, and out of that 5 puppy litter, 3 of those puppies would work the mill. Just being born, just living, they came out ready to work a mill. 3 of them. To Saki being one of them. Even with a broke leg, like they would run a mill, like naturally, right? I was like, oh, okay, this is different. And that realization was, this is what I want. Like, this is what I want. I want a dog that when I want to get into the activities that I like, I want a dog that will do that. That's why, like, you're gonna see me, like, my yard's gonna change drastically this year because all my dogs are game. I believe in gameness. All my dogs, like, have shown some form of, like, being a real American Pit Bull Terrier, authentic American Pit Bull Terrier, right? But that's not all I want. Like, that's not even fun. Nowadays, that's not even fun. Like, when I was a kid and we would, like, go in the woods and bump dogs and stuff, like, that was cool. But, like, that's not even fun nowadays. Like, it has its place in the game. That's just not, you can't do that and enjoy these dogs nowadays. But you can take them on a bike ride. And if a dog, I don't want a dog that's skittish and scared of a bike. Because that's what that kind of stuff I want to do. And that's what this segment is about, right? It's about getting that stuff. I'm about to buy a slap mill. The one I found is $1,000. If this one turns out good, I'm going to start selling them on my site for what the shipping cost is going to be about $1,500. But I'm going to start selling them on my site, right? But I found one. I found a manufacturer that is consistent and they make them to demand. And so I'm going to cop that thing. Taxes come first. So as soon as my taxes get here, I'm copping it. And I will do a full review on it so y'all can see it for yourself. Now, mind you, because it's coming in the mail, there's going to be some construction needed for it. Hopefully the actual belt for it is already put together. So all I got to do is like stand it up. But if not, like we'll go through that whole headache together and I'll show y'all exactly what it looks like. Because I don't believe in sharing a product with you that I don't use myself. Everything on my site, y'all gonna start seeing on my lives. Like I just ordered something from my online store myself because I don't make them in-house. I actually do what's called drop shipping. So my logo is what I own. And if you're supporting me, you're supporting like my brand. Because honestly, like these people they're gonna make and sell t-shirts with or without me, right? But anyways, so getting all that stuff together is big for me, right? And it's really important that you understand these activities, like the flirt pole. Like my dogs, literally, like what I'm expecting from this puppy from Saki is all of them to chase flirt pole, all of them to have some level of mouth and bite spring poles. Like when whoever I like let these dogs go to, you know, they can make those videos and be proud because I see people like discouraged, you know, that their dog ain't biting the spring pole right off, and that happens. It happens. I see people whose dogs won't bite a sleeve. It happens. There's nothing wrong with that dog. Don't be discouraged. Look at the siblings, look at the parents, see if it's in your genealogy. And if it's not, don't get if you're breeding a dog that doesn't do what you yourself like, then that's a foul. That's a foul. If breeding is the activity you want to get into, make sure you're breeding something you would buy. Because you can speak on something you would buy a lot better than you can speak on something that you're trying to sponsor or that you're trying to be a spokesperson for that you don't know. All right, so learning what activities to get into with you and your dog enjoy. Do you like to walk? Are you a person that likes to walk? Like for me, the walking is therapeutic. I typically throw on my earpods and I watch my friends' YouTube channels that I follow. You know what I'm saying? I'm listening to 7-8. I'm listening to Pelican Bay. I'm listening to Schoolboy. I'm listening to Triple J. Like I just have it on my Play Next thing on my YouTube channel, and I just walk and listen to their shows. You know what I'm saying? Going Hard Kennels. It takes me 3 or 4 nights to digest one of their full shows because it's so long. You know what I'm saying? Typically, Saki and I can put in about 4 miles in about an hour to an hour and 20 minutes. So that's what I'm looking at is, you know, an hour and 20 minutes worth of time digesting this information and taking it all in and filtering it in. That's also therapeutic for me. On nights where I'm not really feeling like watching YouTube, I throw on my Apple Music and I let it ride. Or I'll record some footage for y'all. Right? So think about what you want to do and like what it is that you and your dog enjoy. Don't just be out here doing stuff just cause that's not that ain't the move. So With that being said, we're gonna move into the next portion. Hold on, I'm having some technical difficulties here. Let me see let me find out what's going on with my other phone. Because I'm using my other phone for notes, y'all. If y'all wonder why I keep looking down. I use my other phones for notes, and it allows me to look at my topics here because I get scatterbrained sometimes with it. All right. So what I have here is we've covered picking up the puppy, getting it ready, things to prepare yourself mentally for training, maintenance, health, learning activities you enjoy, and equipment you'll benefit from having with your dog. I pretty much covered that earlier in the lesson, or earlier in the session, so we'll talk about this real quick. Equipment you can benefit from having. Inside, leashes, collars, muzzles, tugs, sleeves if you want to do sleeve training, crates, pee pads, toys. We'll start with toys on this portion because I haven't covered toys yet. Toys I use are Kongs and rope toys, chew toys. There are two types of toys, and a lot of people don't understand this about dogs. There are toys that are meant to be left alone with your dog to occupy their time when you are not around, like the Kongs, the deer antlers, things like that take them a long time to chew up. And then there's toys that are interactive toys where you're supposed to play with you don't leave the rope with your dog. An interactive toy means short periods of time. Even the hides that I sell, those are short duration hides. Like, so Saki, the longest I let him work the hide is typically 30 minutes. I'll let him go out there and I'll let him bite the hide. I'll take the break stick, break him off, let him hit the hide again. Do 2 or 3 minutes on the hide, break it up, and just do like sets like that to work on his energy, his endurance, and his bite. But these are interactive toys. I don't leave them with the dog when I'm not around. They're taken away, and the dog develops drive from being excited when they get to see these toys here and there, right? So that's what the drive and the toys look like for the dogs. All right. Other things you'll benefit from is if you can afford an outdoor kennel or dog run or a fenced-in yard, or even a chain spot. Because I'm personally not against chain spots, and whatever you got that lets your dog exercise the way they want to exercise and like be the way they want to be. That's important to me that your dog has that ability to enjoy its life. Your dog is not always gonna be around you, but when it's not around you, it should still have a great quality of life. And the last topic I was going to cover that's required that I put in my chat for y'all that I was going to cover was, what level of training do you want your dog to have? After you've handled all the other things that I talked about in this lesson, you kind of want to look at what level of training you want your dog to achieve. The typical person that calls me just wants a dog that they can have. Excuse me, my neck was itching. My neck was cramped. They typically want a dog that they can just enjoy. You know what I'm saying? They just want a dog that they can just. It's not terrible. It's not great. They want a baseline dog. They don't even really. Most people don't really want dogs to do what Saki does, other than like being able to have fun and enjoy it. And it shows gameness and it shows intensity, and it's just a great dog, really healthy. That's what I'd say 70% of the people who reach out to me, they just want a genuine American Pit Bull Terrier to have and to learn about and to enjoy the blood. Most people, all right? Then there's a small percentage of people who are into illegal things, and I don't support or condone illegal activity. No dogs are bred, sold, or purchased for illegal activity. But that's in the game, and to ignore it would be a fallacy. There are some people who want to do illegal things with these dogs, and with or without guidance, they're going to do them. It is going to happen. They'll sell you whatever story they need to sell to get your blood, and they're going to do whatever they want to with that blood. So once you let a dog go, whether you want it to be your responsibility or not, you kind of are bonded to that person in a way. All right? And then there's a higher percentage of it, 20 to 25% of people who want to excel or move on and do things like scent work, bite work, agility, showing them. And those are the kind of people who I like to communicate with the most, because if they get one of my dogs, I want them to be really, really successful. The in-between, the pet crowd, that's fine, but they typically don't have a lot of issues because they just want their dog to be a dog. And those are people we need to maintain the breed in its longevity, are people who just take care of the dogs and like cherish them and own them and love them. But the people who compete with them and bring them into new events, we need those as well because they're extending our reach, and that's extremely important. All right, y'all, we just hit the 70, or we're about to hit the 70-minute mark here, and I've covered the majority of the topics that I wanted to cover today. But there's a quote I want to hit y'all with before we break up out of here, and that quote is, "Know yourself, or the dog will be lost." If you don't know what you like, how can the dog do what you like? So, for those of y'all who are going to work or headed out to work for today, I appreciate y'all rocking with us and stopping in to see the channel. I'm gonna sit here and kind of just exhale my thoughts. The dog talking portion is over. I'm going to go into my personal philosophy here. And if y'all got to get up out of here, this is a great time to break out. Once again, Samurai Kennels merchandise. Please go and support. Copy a mug. If nothing else, copy a coffee mug. I think that's one of the cheapest things on the site. And when we do these Wednesday morning wake up talks, bring your coffee mugs out. You know what I'm saying? We'll drink up or whatever. I would love to do some interviews. So if y'all got some people y'all want me to reach out to, I'll reach out to them. If they want to do an interview, that's fine. If not, that's cool. But I do want to put this challenge out to y'all in the dog community. There's a guy by the name of Captain True Game American Pit Bull Terriers, Captain Scott Forrester. Now, the reason why I want to put this challenge out is because back in 2020, Captain Forrester did something that I want to bring back. And I want to have a heavy influence or a heavy part in the lifting portion of it this time. He did an online confirmation show that actually gave out cash prizes and trophies. And I have seen some amazing looking kennels and dogs that I would love to see compete online. Because as much as I'm registered with ADBA, I'm a registered ADBA kennel, but I find it extremely difficult because of the frequency of their shows and the publicizing of their shows. I find it extremely difficult to really make it to their shows. So I really would love to see another online competition like the one he did when COVID first broke out in 2020. So I want y'all to if I can get 3 other people to reach out to him and tell him, hey man, we want that competition back, man. I'm willing to help sponsor a couple of the trophies myself. I will come out of pocket to pay for some of those trophies, but I really want to stimulate a community online that is a supportive community that does big things. All right. As far as winners, I mean, I don't have a lot. I'm not a rich man, but I make a decent amount, and I would say even things like raffling off puppies in the competition, you pay to enter your dog, you're automatically entered a raffle for a puppy or free gear, free merch from the different kennels. We're going to need kennels to sponsor this. This is going to be a community created by us, for us, with the opportunity to really shine. The portion that I wanted to add into his competition is I wanted to add in an obedience challenge as well as maybe even a bite challenge or because he had a spring bowl challenge in there last time, but an obedience challenge. And I would create a course that is very simple, very simplistic, and create some rules behind that so you could compete for your obedience side. Because I know there's a Warrior, the True American Pit Bull Terrier on Instagram. There's a Bane, he's being trained in protection work. There's a Crixus, another protection work dog. And if we create this forum where people can come to and show off their dogs in a positive light, you're going to get a much stronger community. And specifically not having to travel, because nowadays traveling and finding venues that are going to support American Pit Bull Terriers and the noise that's going to come from those dogs being around each other is very difficult. But most people can get in their yard. A lot of people want to break into the YouTube game anyways, and this will give a very, very sound opportunity to get into the YouTube world in an effective and positive way. I'm gonna keep harping on this, and I'm gonna keep calling out Captain True Game Dogs, because I really love what he did with that push, and I'm really trying to bring that back. For those of y'all who are getting puppies this year, please be safe. Please practice ethical ownership and ethical public socializing of your dog. If you're gonna go to dog parks and your dog bites, please use a muzzle. We're approaching the 75-minute mark. I'm not going to go too much longer with y'all, man, but I really am thankful. I'm genuinely and earnestly thankful for all of y'all who checked in. Like I said, videos drop on Sundays, lives on Wednesdays, And that's all I'm doing right now to give y'all better, gives me more time to gather information. It gives me time to give y'all more quality content because I'm worried about quality right now over quantity. Every now and then I'll see something where I want to drop a post or maybe a quick video, but my actual like scheduled days that I'm trying to keep consistent are Wednesdays for my live talks. Y'all can reach out to me through my email, as well as for my Sunday videos of dog training and what's going on with the actual kennel. So you can see what the moves I'm making and how I'm making the moves that I talk about on my Wednesday lives. All right. Once again, this is Samurai Kennels. I appreciate y'all. Drake over and out.